Hello everybody and welcome back to War Thunder. Today we're going to be able to look at what is soon to be an exclusive rare tank, the KV-1E. This is the up armored version of the KV-1. I will go into more detail about this tank and its production during the gameplay footage, but for now let's bring up the stat card and do the garage part of this review. So this tank is armed with a 76mm f32 cannon. This gun has the same penetration values at the same similar ranges that the L11 gun does on the standard KV-1. You also get a 7.62 DT machine gun with very small magazines, but that's the same on most Russian tanks. 8.8 degrees turret traverse. This is fairly good. You will, although you know this is contextual, you will have to use the hull in most situations to rotate the turret and the hull at the same time to help get your aim on. I do this anyway because it angles the hull as well, so that helps. You will need to be doing that. -5 degrees of gun depression. Not bad for a Russian tank. Most Russian tanks are 2 or 3 degrees, so yeah. 25 degrees of elevation. 7.7% reload rate. 7.7 second reload rate on a level 37 crew. This crew is not aced, but I have put quite a bit of crew points into the reload rate on this crew. 100mm of hull armor, 75 on the side, 70 on the rear, 75 on the front of the turret, 100 on the side, and 75 on the rear. Unusual. Armor penetration is 71mm at 100, 65 at 500, and 57 at 1000. This is poor. Let's just get that right out of the way. The excellent part of this tank is most definitely not the gun. I will bring this up again later, but I may as well mention it now. In the video that I did yesterday, I spoke about the Panzer IIH and tanks having to have a balance between mobility, firepower, and protection. The Panzer IIH has the firepower and the mobility, but not the protection. This tank is the opposite. It has to, well, it only has one of those traits really. It has the protection. It's not very mobile, although it is fairly mobile for a heavy tank, but in comparison to mediums and lights it has nothing on them. And the gun is, quite frankly, piss poor. But I still love this tank. I love the KV-1s. I always have loved the KV-1s. I didn't know if I would like this or not, but I thought, hey, more armor. Shut up and take my money. So let's carry on. This tank, the standard KV-1 weighs roughly 45 tons. This one weighs almost 50, 49 to be exact. That should tell you how much spaced armor is on this thing. 600 horsepower engine, max speed of 34 kilometers an hour. It will reach that on flat terrain. Obviously, it will accelerate much better and go much faster on concrete, but it will reach 34 kilometers an hour. That isn't a mythical speed like some of the vehicles in the game. 41 degrees of inclination. That's fairly decent, and 100% visibility, but I tend to ignore that stat for the most part anyway. So let's have a look at the modifications. They all come unlocked for you on this tank because it is a premium. Everything is unlocked for you. So all we have to look at is the shells. Your stock shell has 71mm of penetration at 100, at a 90 degree angle, 63 at 60 degrees, and 29 at 30. Awful. High explosive, don't bother, you won't need it. Shrapnel shell, I haven't used it, but I would imagine it's useful for firing at light armor targets like SPAA, but in the amount of time it takes for you to change shell, you might as well just shoot them with a machine gun. The shell I use, armor piercing, high explosive ballistic cap shell. It weighs 6.3 kilos, has a muzzle velocity of 615 meters per second, fairly low muzzle velocity, but nowhere near as bad as some of the shells in the game. 64 grams of explosive, 0.9 meter fusillade. The fuse is sensitive to up for anything below 15 millimeters. It will not explode inside the tank. It will just go straight through, poke a massive hole in it. Yeah, 76mm of penetration at 100 meters on a 90 degree angle. Not much better than the standard shell, but when it gets in, yeah, it does some serious damage when it does penetrate. So the armour. Moving along very quickly here, makes a change. Right, the armour. So, front of the tank. It says 25mm stick. That doesn't make any sense, Red. I thought you said it was 100. Well, it is. But, that's below. You can't actually... It's very difficult to get the front of the plate here. But that is additional armour. Behind it, there, is 75mm stick. So that adds up to 100mm of armour. But that's... For all intents and purposes, that acts as spaced armour. The front of the slope is... From the front of the tank, if I can get the angle right, hang on. There we go. That is roughly equal to 100mm as well, by thickness, 72° angle. Lower plate also has spaced armour on it, for 30mm of thickness. And then below that, 75. So this is actually 25s. In some places it's almost 105mm thick due to angling. So the front of the turret. This is the spaced armour now. 30mm on top of 75. Same on this side, obviously. Gun mantlet is segmented unless anyone hits it flush on, they won't go through it anyway, but 90mm. 90mm. This bit's 75, but you know, you're going to be moving around constantly. There should not be a static target at any point. Like with the mouse in mortar tanks or the E100 or anything like that, and that includes the mouse and the E100 in this game as well, when you're not aiming your gun at the enemy to pull the trigger, if you're reloading, aim the turret away, angle it. You'd be surprised how much that helps. Side armour. 30mm on the side for the spaced, with 75 beneath it. You can do the math, I'm lazy. Side of the tank. We have bits of spaced armour here as well. 25mm on top of 75. This thing is an armoured pillbox with tracks. Rear of the tank. 75mm on the rear of the turret. No spaced armour, but then if you're playing it right, they shouldn't be behind you anyway. And 70 on the rear of the hull. So all in all, not too shabby. Right then. Very standard KV layout, absolutely nothing different here. Ammunition rack in the bottom. Stood up, which makes them an easier target, but they do have that extra 25mm of spaced armour. We have the driver sat in the centre, and the machine gunner sat in the front. The bow machine gunner, that is. Fuel tank to the left. Fuel tank to the right. Engine in the middle, pretty much. And transmission in the rear. There is ammo kept in the turret as well, but I have never ever been ammo racked in this tank. So I'm not too concerned about that. The crew are very tightly packed together in the turret, and that's a big if, because they'd have to try and get through the cannon breach as well. If a player manages to put a shell through the side of the turret, which is unlikely to begin with, but if it does get through, there's a good chance it might set off the ammo racks or kill the crew in the turret. I've only ever lost one crew in the turret at once. Numerous shots, yeah, I've lost 1 or 2 crew members, but from one shot I've only lost one, which is usually the loader, because he stood right at the back and he's not being protected by anything. Oh, shells also laid in the bottom of the tank as well, but they're really low down, so they're a harder target to hit. Just quickly, camouflage patterns. There should be a grey one with white lines on it. It's I've forgotten the name of the bloody country now. A Finnish, there we go, winter camouflage pattern for this tank. It was on this tank, I don't seem to have it. I have absolutely no idea why. I saw it in Tiger Frost's video that he did about the rare collectible vehicles or what have you, and this tank was in that video. I saw it on his tank in that video, but I don't have it. So I do bring this up in the gameplay footage as well. As I say then, if any of you know why I don't have this camouflage, please let me know in the comments. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoy the gameplay, and I will see you on the next one.
Attack the A point.